Hey guys, how's it going, Front Runner family? It is a Friday, en route to another action-packed weekend as far as the DSTV Premiership is concerned. Another weekend where at least it's just all league fixtures without mixing it up with other engagements that the other teams may have. I have Calvin Sosibo and Greg Atafia to help me look ahead to these encounters. Hopefully, by the end of it, we'll also be able to give you the result of the one Friday game, as that's currently on the go at the time of this recording. So let's have a look as far as the games to look forward to this weekend. Black Leopards in action against SuperSport United. That's on Saturday at 3 p.m. Now, Leopards are in 16th place with 14 points, and their last 5 games have been 3 losses and 2 draws. So they've recently parted ways with Chippa King and Clover, who sided with those players who got sanctioned for those games around the Easter time. And now Leopards obviously need to make their way out of 16th with lots of work to do. SuperSport United, on the other hand, have 35 points. They're in 6th. Last 5 games, 3 losses and 2 draws as well. So the form table suggests that this one can go either way as far as that's concerned, but maybe as far as quality is concerned, you'll think to yourself, SuperSport might have the better, more settled squad. You know, there's so many eruptions happening there with the Black Leopards team. You have players in and out. I don't think it's conducive to the best performing conditions. So Greg Atafia, do SuperSport United, being a stable and calm team ahead in the table, standing a better chance of winning this one? What do you say?
Definitely. Good evening to you, Kabza. Good evening to Kevin and everyone watching. First of all, I mean, it's an exciting game. You have 6 on the log and bottom of the log, and which, I mean, for now, I think Black Leopard really needs this point. Talking about Black Leopard, they have 8 games to go, and altogether, if they can win with their 14 points they have, they can only end up 35 points. Getting those wins altogether, I think, is going to be a little bit a mountain to climb. But nothing is impossible in soccer. Everything is possible as far as, you go on the 90 minutes and do your business. But facing SuperSport this Saturday, I think it's going to be a big one. SuperSport are missing a lot of key players, the likes of Grobler, the top scorer, have 13 goals. You have Kabuza, who is injured too, So last week, they missed their number 1 goalkeeper. I just thought they'd give him a rest, And I feel this game, they're going to come all out blazing. SuperSport United against Cape Town City. That was Katango Tembo 100 game, and now he's going for the 102nd game. I think you're gonna go for a win in this one. So, SuperSport, they're not conceding a lot and they're scoring more goals. And you have Black Leopard that conceded a lot of goals, 37 in total, and score only 16, and which is not good enough, for a team to escape the relegation zone. In the history of the PSL. It's only 4 teams have done that, incredible. Black Leopards are one of them, that really, put a winning string to come out in this situation, to go to playoffs. So I think this time around is going to be a little bit difficult for them.
Okay. They are rooted to the bottom of the table, as we've mentioned, 3 points behind Chippa United, who are sitting in 15th. There is pressure mounting, only 7 rounds left, Calvin. Black Leopards would be a famous victory. You wonder that sometimes, maybe because the motivation on the Leopard side is survival, that, these are the kind of games when you're playing against teams who in SuperSport maybe don't have much to play for. Yes, they're in the top 8. Yes, there's places for Africa up for grabs, but you might find a squad with also the exclusions that Greg has mentioned that is maybe primed to be playing Black Leopards. Is this a good time to play SuperSport United?
Yeah, I think, it could be a good time to play SuperSport, but I think SuperSport, at the end of the day, they have like good youngsters that can be fed into the team. Therefore, for Leopards, they are the ones that are more under pressure to get the points because they want to survive. To get to 35 points is going to be a hard climb, and starting by SuperSport, it's going to be a difficult match because now you're looking at the energy side and the youngsters actually are going to put their foot down. There's nothing to lose for SuperSport than to consolidate. So for Leopards, it's a must win at all costs. So we're looking at a Leopards team that are going to come into this game trying to get maximum points, and that leaves them to make it. It opens a room of making a lot of mistakes, and those mistakes could cost them, and then it's going to send more panic because the more they drop points now, because if they're doing their calculations now, I know when you're in that situation, you start looking at game by game. You say, okay, if we win here, we draw here, we win there, we draw there. That's always the calculator that we always pull up when you find yourself at the bottom. So I think at this time, Leopards might come strong. They will try and actually maybe get a draw from SuperSport because they know the SuperSport pedigree. Also, they got like creating. They also have entertaining football that they are playing, trying to create scoring opportunities now. But I'm looking at this point. For them, it's going to be scrappy. It's not going to be about beautiful soccer because there's a status at hand. So they need to save that first before they apply good football. So the team that's going to start has to start on the front.
Okay, so there we go. It's about getting the front foot on that one. Let's see, Black Leopards. Is it now that they start writing this incredible comeback story with 7 rounds to go and the points on the table? How many of those will they be able to take? And then we'll look ahead to the original Soweto derby that sees Morocco Swallows, or Swallows FC rather, in action against Orlando Pirates. And this one should be interesting. Both sides coming off of draws. Pirates has won in African competition, obviously, having won in the league against Maritzburg United. And on the other side of Swallows, the draw masters, but maybe their motivations have changed a little bit now. Kelvin, Brendan Tarrant speaking about how he's more focused on just maybe snatching up one of those places for African competition. We know they're an ambitious club with ambitious owners, boxing well above their weight, but they're still ambitious. They still want to give competition on the rest of the continent to go. Is that the right motivation going into a game like this against a team who are currently in that kind of competition?
Yeah, true. I think for them, it's good ambitions that they've set for themselves. Coming to this Orlando Pirates team, both teams coming from a draw, it's going to be settled at the end of the day because one team is going to take 3 points at the end of the day. At the end of the match. So we're looking at in terms of the coach's words. I know he wants to get into. He has lost the race in terms of getting the lead, even though the standard was set too high for them. But I think they could fairly finish quite well on the log. Mm-hmm. And for them, it's not a big ask to get them into Africa. Yes, Orlando Pirates being the experienced team on the end of the day, with a lot of players and a pedigree that they have to compete with other players. So what I see in this game, I see a lot of a game that's going to be won based on tactics. It's a game that's going to have a lot of duels. This is where now we're going to have to see the likes of Hamaldine. Can he raise his hand and try to carry his team on this match? We're looking at Mabasa if he continues, if he's going to be playing at the end of the day. Is he going to continue scoring goals? We're looking at Pule, the influential of Hoto, coming into this game. They are the ones now that have set the record for Pirates that when they go up front, they try by all means to convert. So with the incoming of their defense again, I want to see how the coach will actually line up his squad, looking at the youngster that has done tremendously well, and then he got a man of the match. What can we then now do when it comes to this situation? Are we just going to give him one game, he gets a man of the match, then he takes the bench, or are we going to continue to fill?
Mm-hmm. You're right. That's important to see if that continuity exists. It's a big result inducing game, Greg, in terms of the 3 points on offer. For Swallows, if they beat Pirates, it puts them above them into 4th position. For Orlando Pirates, if they win, it gets them closer to 2nd, which, kind of becomes the first of the rest, everyone behind Mamelodi Sundowns, considering the games in hand they have. So who's this one bigger for in the greater scheme of things? Pirates, obviously out now of cup competition, out of the title, and Nyimba's next for them to give a go of the continental competition. Swallows don't have much to play for, but a top 4 finish. Who do you think is more motivated going into this one?
For me, I think, Swallows will be more motivated to go into this game, in terms of what their ambition is, is for them to to compete in the league, and which for now they're safe in terms of playing the DSTV Premiership for next season. But when they're settled now, so the next step for them is to get into that African sport, to play the continental football, which would be great. They're looking at where they're coming from the NFD, to the Glad African Championship, to the DSTV Premiership. I think it's going to be a big jump, and for them to remain the DSTV Premiership, it's a big plus for them. But looking at Swallows, I think they need to change a lot of things in terms of going to this game. Whenever they lead, they have taken the lead in terms of the games they play, and they never kept the lead. Most about 17 lead. They drew. And they have played a lot of 1-1 in terms of they concede. They can score, but they do concede. It's one of the teams that have got a lot of penalties in the DSTV Premiership, about 6, and you can, looking at their top goal scorer, you have 11 goals. And against Celtic, he never really came to the party, but you give him credit for the goal Swallow score in terms of him closing down the Celtic goalkeeper for him to force him to make a mistake. So I think Swallow going to this game, Trotter have done a great job, for him to keep a bunch of players that are doing well in terms of this season, So going to Pirates, Pirates, they have scored 26 goals, they haven't conceded a lot, in terms of they've conceded 16, I think, this season for them is a lot of injuries, going from the goalkeeper to the striking department, everyone is going in and out. There's no really, maybe you put on, I think, 11 players that, this is your starting 11 that can play 6 games in a row. You have a player like Pule, he's the only one that have 6 goals now, because goals comes everywhere at London Pirates, So, but I just think Pirates need to be consistent in terms of going to away game. At home, they're doing well because, the last game they played in the Confederations Cup, they drew, but they created a lot of opportunities in terms of the final third. It was a good game, for them. And putting one eye next week against Ayimba, because that group is still open, anyone can still qualify in that group, So, but they still have one eye on that game. But at the same time, this original Soweto derby, the bragging right is important, and you're playing it on a Saturday, and on the Sundays you want to go to the Chiefs and Yama and other side, the car wash, and brag for your, brag for your points you have. So I think it's going to be a very exciting one. I'm looking forward to this game.
I mean, Kelvin, is it really that big a deal if these players beat one another? And also the psychology of these players, when you hear, some of the Swallows players being mentioned with other teams for next season, how much does that play into the performances, knowing that essentially the eyes are on the club because people are seeing a lot of players who've done well when they weren't expected to? How much more of a kick does that give the performances going into games when you know that, listen, this might not be where I end up forever, If I play well enough, someone might come calling.
I'm looking at the case of this young boy, the central defender, Litlabika, and also is it Ngobo, the center back?
Yeah,
the one.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Litlabika and Jabulo Ngobo, a very solid back line, which is going to be tested on this at this game, in how they set up. A very smart defender, very highly tactical, good pass of the ball, reads the game well. Litlabika offering cover, good command. So coming to this game, yes, it's always, Greg has put it, it's always about the bragging rights. This is the game when you win, you just want to take an empty bag and go shopping, just go and buy bread. You take your traveler's bag and just go buy bread because you just want people to see you. This is the day where you just wear your full kit, Morocco Swallows or Orlando Pirates, and then
Swallows
you start
FC,
walking. Swallows FC. Sorry. Yeah. So that's one of them most rewarding feeling to actually to win the derby, and it's one of those things whereby you feel as if now you can actually go a step ahead. You can notch ahead. Everything becomes possible when you know that you've beaten one of the best. So if you still hold the bragging rights, it always gives you that courage. So moving to the games forward, for them, it's going to be a motivation. But I think this is the time where they need to break these draws. As Greg has put it, has highlighted. I think the fact that Morocco Swallows are creating chances and can score, but at the end of the day, they lapse in terms of their concentration at the back and they concede late. That's the reason being because they are playing a system whereby when in attack, they have more numbers in their attacking third, and then they try to consolidate in the middle. So now they are left at the back with Litabika and Ngobo. Reason being, when Ngobo becomes outstretched, because teams now have realized that he's a good ball player. So they'll always try and isolate him and then put him in a most vulnerable position that because he doesn't have the most the speed that is needed, but the timing is good. So if they work around that, teams that are working around that, because even goals that you see, they're always conceding goals facing their own goal post. So that means their back line is actually not in accordance. They are not actually lining up in a good way to actually retain ball position and then start playing. Because always when you're caught facing your own goals, there's something wrong that you're doing. Those I call the turnovers.
Okay, let's see. It'll be interesting. Highly talented side as far as Orlando Pirates is concerned, up against the grit and determination that's been shown so far throughout the season by Swallows FC. Another cracking encounter with potential to be a good game. It's Cape Town City in action against TTM. That is on Saturday, the 5 p.m. And that's alongside with AmaZulu and TS Galaxy. So we'll speak about those two 5 o'clock ones. But obviously, Cape Town City, they're sitting with 33 points in 7th, whilst TTM in 14th with 19 points. But obviously, for TTM, that placing on the table takes into consideration the weird start to the season they had with a lot of the off-field matters affecting what happened on the pitch. Obviously, but of late, they've found a bit of a rhythm against the Cape Town City side, who have also found a bit of a rhythm, Greg. That's why I say it could be a combustible encounter, just two sides looking to kind of finish with a flurry.
This is an exciting game. We're looking forward to this game. You have the most attacking team in the league. And, probably you can say under Owen Dagama, they have been stingy enough, to keep the score down because, you have a TS Galaxy, they only scored 22 goals and considered 24. And you have a Cape Town side, I don't know whether they're just playing attacking football without defense. They've scored the most goals, 35 in the league, and considered 30. I think for me, it's too much. I mean, but for the first time in a very, very long time, the Cape Town City side, they're exciting to watch in terms of going forward. But I just think they need to shut the back door a little bit. Even against Kaizer Chiefs, they took the lead through Morris, in the early minutes of the game, and they needed to defend for their life. And luckily, they got a deflection goal from Rolani again, which they're leading 2-0, and you put your head on the block and thinking that, no, this time they're going to keep a clean sheet in terms of how they were defending throughout the second half. But again, the Achilles heels for them is them conceding and almost lost the game, at the end there, So, but I think it's going to be exciting games. There's going to be goals in this game. You have the TS Galaxy team that for the past 3 games now, they have conceded 2 goals, which is not something Owen Dagama side, he used to, So against Celtic, you can say, one of the goals was, somehow, we have the privilege to watch the replay. Was I think it wasn't a penalty against Celtic, but you go to the TTM game, the one they lost. I think it was hands down beating. They missed penalty. They are the most side in the league that missed a lot of penalty given to them. They have missed 5 in the season now. I just think, they have to score in open play. That's going to be their strong point. You have the likes of Mango and the Bevan Franceman at the back. Owen Dagama is pride itself in terms of set piece. So I think it's going to be a very good game because Cape Town City, they don't defend set piece very well. And the goal Kaizer Chiefs scored was from the cross, and person like Bakos scoring the goal in between the 2 big center back. I think they need to watch out of that situation because I know Owen very well. He will analyze that game and think he's going to use his strength in terms of set piece in that game.
In terms of TTM, though, Calvin, looking at the situation, beating Galaxy, making their way into a final for the Nedbank Cup, spirits are high. This could probably be a continuation of the current momentum they find themselves with, even though it is Cape Town City that they're up against, a side that we probably thought this side would do a bit more this season. They had a bunch of mixed bag results, just haven't really recovered to have a credible season that they can be proud of. It's just going to kind of, taper off. But for TTM, with so much at stake, the momentum and the wind is surely at their back.
True. I think just going to the finals for them, it means a lot to the players. Spirits are high. What's important now is for them to actually stay level grounded. They need to get their heads on the ground. They just don't need to think about the final. Yes, the final is happening. It's a guaranteed spot. It's a ticket that you can't change. But now moving to the game ahead, they just need to focus on collecting the results, because I can say they put one hand on the trophy, but again, now they need to get one hand on surviving on the league. So when you put those together, that's going to be a sweet victory if they win the cup and still survive, because there's more to play for in this cup. It's one of those games where now this is where senior players have to come in. Senior players need to chip in, knowing very well that City are leaking at the back, but also be wary to the fact that they can also score goals. So it's a game that's going to be played on a lot of turnovers, because one team being aware that one team is not good in defense, but one team knowing very well that they're at the bottom, so they're going to try and actually put their foot on their neck and not let them breathe. So this is an opportunity where TTM can show that they want to stay in the league, and also being in the final, it wasn't just a scrappy win. They're a good side. They play beautiful football. There's exciting players that are there. There's exciting players that are there. There's one boy wearing number 20, and Dabai Tetwa. I think Dabai Tetwa plays in the middle for TTM. An exciting player. Very short, but very explosive. Knows the pockets, knows how to play. He has always he's contributed to the TTM side in these victories that they have. But I can't really single out one player out. I think the defense well is coming to shape. Nyamane also being the leader. All those senior players that have put their hand up have gotten the team to be where they are. So playing against City at this point, we're expecting City also to redeem themselves. They started reducing their deficit in terms of the goals that they concede. So they're looking more now in terms of them scoring and being tactically disciplined in terms of when they get a goal, let them defend their lead, because it's a team that can play football. What I'm worried about with City is whenever that they attack, they push too much up into the final third, which is a result of that's how they get goals. Right. But now they neglect the middle parts, whereby the game is centered in the middle. So then it becomes difficult for defenders to defend, because if you no longer have the screeners and you have two midfielders who are pushing up, it becomes a problem. This is now why they're actually conceding a lot of goals.
Okay, and then very quickly on the AmaZulu one, obviously for them, just coming off a good result against a strong Sundowns, and then against a Galaxy side who've been, I guess, sitting idle for a little bit, not in action. The last game in the league was the loss against TTM. I'm sure it'll been some good time for Owen Da Gama to just kind of bed in some ideas as to how to stop the rot. But how do you kind of foresee them doing against Benny's AmaZulu?
For me, I mean, Benny have done a lot, Benny, I mean, is one coach now in the country that everyone is looking up to in terms of the miracle he has performed at AmaZulu. AmaZulu have gone 11 games, without losing. And the only time this happened was in 2002, 2003 with Mongeti, Mongeti, the Sundowns coach now. I think he's the only one that did have that record, So Benny have done a lot in terms of what he have done with AmaZulu now. I think he's a very good coach. They have a goalkeeper that have kept 6 clean sheets in a row. I mean, AmaZulu have break a lot of records in terms of where they're coming from and where they are now. And they have the top assist player in the league now, which is Molenga, So for me, I'm looking at AmaZulu side that play against Sundowns and draw 0-0. It was a 0-0 game, but it was so exciting. Everyone was happy about the game, in terms of both sides attacking, and credit must be given to the technical team from AmaZulu. But you go into TTM now with Owen Da Gama. that we all know that, he built his team around this defense, But for the past 3 games now, they have considered 2 goals in each game, So I think they need to step up their games. They're not scoring much, in terms of in open play, because even the penalty they give them, they have lost a lot, So they have lost a lot in terms of not combating their penalties, 5 in the season so far. They don't have that striker that, really give them that upper hand in terms of you have 3 goals or 4 goals from one striker. Sean, that they rely on, is injured now, right now. He's just coming back from injury. He's doing his rehabilitation now. I think probably he might travel for this game, depends on if he passes the late fitness, So I think it's going to be a very exciting game. AmaZulu is looking to cement their position on the third, either to go second or to remain third there in the log there, adding points in their 41 points they have already. So I think it's going to be a good game to watch.
Kelvin?
Yeah, I think I'm just worried about TX Galaxy. The rest could mean 2 things. Players having to come back from their injuries, if those who are injured, gives them time to refresh and get fitter and be included in the squad. The bad thing is you find a team that is high in form, good ball rotation, plays very well, plays very good, and then they find you having rested more than them. That's now it's going to show up in terms of the rustiness, because your technical awareness and tactical awareness will be very low compared to AmaZulu, who has just come up from the Sundowns game, which they draw, which I heard Benny saying that for the first time that he saw Sundowns parking their bus while playing against him. Yes, you can't blame the quality. I think against Sundowns game, Mangoba planned for the game very well, because he rather not lose than consolidate at the top, because if he would have dropped 3 points, it was going to put AmaZulu at the upper hand. Like we asked before, is this match going to be the league decider? I think it came to that, and Mamelodi Sundowns show in terms of their tactical priority, in terms of how they're going to consider. If they have to lose, it has to be a draw. They don't have to lose the whole 3 points. Going back to TX Galaxy, I think when it comes to your Bevan Fransman, this is the time they need to raise their hand, try and organize in terms of their defense, because I think it starts from the back, start from the keeper, defense, midfield, and striker. If they don't come up as a unit, I know the coach can do much, but it's players, do they want it more? So players need to want it more at this stage, because we've been seeing team coming into the field and having a discussion with the coach. What message is he actually sending to us at this current point? He knows the results are not coming in, but now you have to also be considerate to the fact that we're having a team that is having a lot of breaks with interrupts in terms of their performances, and you're finding a team that is playing week in, week out, so it becomes a disadvantage. So I see on this one, AmaZulu will have an upper hand on this one.
Okay, and then let's quickly focus on the game between Mamelodi Sundowns, who we already alluded to, against Kaizer Chiefs. Obviously a big game, but more in this instance where Chiefs might be one of the clubs that donate the 3 of the 8 points that Sundowns need at this point to wrap up the season. So could that be something that motivates them to say, listen, you can get your 8 points, just don't take 3 from us, or you're not going to take 3 from us, Greg?
For me, this the most exciting game, we're looking forward to the weekend, which is, on Sunday. I think it's a big game, not only for Sundowns. I think for Kaizer Chiefs, it's a massive one. Games are running out now because, you have games in hand. Doesn't mean, you're going to get the points. So you need to win your points, because we said last time that, Kaizer Chiefs has a lot of games in hand, which if they won, they're going to be in the top 8. And top 8 right now is looking something a little bit 100 kilometers from them. So they need to be running fast now to get to that top 8, because that's what we hope for them, doing well in the continent. I think, they need to stamp their authority, playing against Sundowns side that we know that goals come from a lot of angles, and it's one team right now against, okay, I just say against AmaZulu. That's for the first time for a very long time they drew, in terms of the 0-0, because they have been scoring, they have been scoring a lot of goals, in terms of everywhere on the pitch, and they have scored with the header. But, with the header, they have scored 10 goals this season. I mean, we believe that a team like Sundowns, we all thought that let's play the ball on the floor, but in set piece, they are very dangerous because they are the leading side now in terms of scoring from header. So I just think it's going to be a good game to watch. It's just unfortunately now Peter have a knock yesterday in training, so he's gonna he's gonna go in for late fitness test before the game on Sunday to see whether he can play. Otherwise, I think he's gonna sit this one out. But going to Kaizer Chiefs, I think they need to really improve their game in terms of now start getting points, because when they go behind in any game, it's difficult for them to win. We saw it with City at the weekend. So I think it's going to be a good game. We're just looking forward to that game, exciting game.
Okay, and so how do you then see this one happening? Because obviously, Sundowns have the motivation, have the players, and have a crazy potential calendar, So as far as the league is concerned, they'll probably want to sort that out as soon as possible before the diary gets busy again. Who has the greater motivation going into that one?
Yeah, I think Sundowns does, because they're looking to take this one. Chiefs are now being known for actually donating points, but also this is their time to actually to have a turnaround. But with looking at Sundowns on how they're going to set up at the end of the day, it's going to be troubling for Chiefs, because they're going to be working with speed when it comes to this game. A game off that's going to be won in the middle. As I saw the last match that they played, I think it was 76 or 75% of the ball retention that was from transition, from turnovers, that was fed into the middle. So I think if Chiefs are not pushing up or playing with their fullbacks, which is going to which is going to open spaces at the back to leave Sundowns to exploit them, because you have your Morena who are quick, Maboe quick also, and also with the exciting Mukulisi. Mukulisi being the one now who's marshalling the midfielder in the absence of Jali. It shows that the boy has matured and is coming nicely into the game. I want to see how it's going to fare out when we have Mukulisi and also we have Ngobo for Chiefs, in terms of the energies in the midfield. What's the creativity going to be like? So coming to also starting from the back, we're looking at if Nascimento is going to continue coming in with the incoming with Libusa. That pairing, I think, has been solid, because it's a team that knows how to start from the back, build up from the middle, and then with the good finish. As we heard from Greg that Shaolili might not be there, it could be a positive for Chiefs in terms of the hard-running Shaolili, because he always open and create space. But you still have to deal with Yozwane, who also plays in a more smarter way as a 10, who always will offload his work rate to Serino making the runs into the pocket, to always try and engage defenders. So if Chiefs do not set up a low block and they decide to go with a higher block, it's going to be a problem, because there's going to be a lot of turnovers this game. Because you see with Sundowns, they have speed. So if they stay high up the field, it's dangerous for Chiefs. But if they stay low, at least they can defend the spaces in between. Because I'm sure if they will start with Kune, he'll be the one that is going to become a super key.
Okay, you're right in terms of that talent. As far as Sundowns are concerned, they do have the weapons and the tools. But tactically, from Gavin Hunt, what does he do to frustrate the three wise men?
To frustrate Sundowns, I think you just have to overload the middle. Don't allow them to play from the middle. For the ball to actually to get to your final third, it'll be a mistake by you not trying to press them high up the field. So if you leave it for too late, Sundowns have a lot of creativity when it comes to the midfield, because they also play an overload in the middle, which is they have more numbers and their ball retention is good, is marvelous to watch. So if you're going to leave Sundowns to be in position of the ball, they're going to harm you. With the runs that the strikers will always make, it's going to be highly impossible to defend because you're looking at Yongezana, cannot be a good match for your Mabo in terms of speed.
Mhm.
You have also on the other side, if it's Zulu that is playing on the left, it's not going to be a good match for Morena. So there's a whole lot of dynamics, the creativity that comes with Mushishi and Sereno. It's a bonus for Sundowns. It's up to them to win, to lose this game. But if Chiefs were to come up with a draw or score, start pressing from the top, don't allow them to start. If you allow them to start, they're going to force you to push up, and then you leave spaces behind you. So if you avoid that when you're playing against Sundowns, that's what AmaZulu did. AmaZulu didn't sit too low back, but they also frustrated Sundowns by not knocking the ball to them. So even when they tried to apply the press didn't work because there was a lot of passing lanes that were open for AmaZulu to get out. So once they are out, now you're looking at the Sundowns whereby they're leaving 3 at the back, and then you get exploited if you're playing with 2 strikers and you're having 1 dropping deep. This is where now your number 10 has to be smarter in terms of getting into the pocket and exposing. So now you're going to have duels. So it's very dangerous for keepers, for defenders to have 1v1s at the back because chances of scoring are higher than you have to expect.
Okay, well, there we have it. The tactical look at what they can do to try and stop the runaway train that is Mamelodi Sundowns, Kaizer Chiefs. And just to bring you up to speed as far as the game that happened earlier this evening, Maritzburg United in action against Baroka. And that one ended 1-1 after Kutumela opened the scoring in the first 25 minutes and Makopa equalizing in the 33rd. Gebhardt getting a second yellow towards the end of the game, resulting in him leaving the Bahaga Aman light. So there we go. A look ahead at the weekend in terms of what to expect around the DSTV Premiership. A big thank you to Greg Atafia and Calvin Sosibo, familiar faces, of course, in the Frontrunner family. And we'll catch up with you on Monday as we reflect on the weekend that was, as we do always on Monday Night Football on Soweto TV. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can be kept up to date as to when we do these kinds of things. And of course, when we turn around Monday Night Football after its premiere on Monday night. For myself, Gamzambata, and the team that made this possible, till we meet again, good night.